Kevin Stfansky feels like his job may be on the line?
I don't concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And so you didn't get this man a fighting chance to compete. He went into a gunfight with 2 knives. He gonna lose that every time.
You know you're going to waive Tyler Huntley. So what good did that 2-minute drive do for him? Was it going to help him? Don't you think Shedeur would have benefited more from a 2-minute drive than Tyler Huntley?
Coach Kevin Stfansky looks like he's backing off, and the heat is clearly on him and the Browns to make a call. After the game, several offensive linemen who'd been on the field with Shedeur Sanders were waived, and a few players had their deals terminated. The blowback was immediate, forcing Stfansky to explain his handling of Shedeur's snaps, especially why he pulled him before the 2-minute hurry-up, a situation many felt fit the rookie perfectly. Stfansky didn't sound convincing. Under obvious pressure, he said he put Tyler Snoop Huntley in for the final 2 minutes to get him tuned up. He looked rattled delivering it, still pushing the idea that Huntley needed that work. Let's be real, Huntley was an emergency pickup when injuries piled up. He's a stopgap, unlikely to stick on the 53, and yet Stfansky used that moment to sit Shedeur. The message in his tone was hard to miss. He knows the choice isn't playing well, and the whole approach around Shedeur Sanders is already blowing back on the staff. Before we go deeper into Stefansky's full comments and what they mean going forward, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more updates. As for the decision itself, the head coach's shaky explanation only highlighted how tense things have become. Framing the move as a tune-up for Huntley doesn't track with the stakes or with Shedeur's development timeline. It looks less like a plan and more like a scramble, and it's starting to backfire.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2-minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop.
TJ Houshmandzadeh, the former NFL wideout, didn't mince words about Kevin Stefansky's handling of Shedeur Sanders. He said that in all his years around the league, he's never seen a coach appear so uninterested in a player's success. To Houshmandzadeh, Stefansky's choices look personal, like there's a grudge against Shedeur, and that's what he finds most troubling. TJ Houshmandzadeh called the bias blatant and cautioned that, if it's real, the push on the Browns to dismiss Kevin Stfansky will only intensify.
The fans gonna be saying, Shedeur our quarterback. Shedeur should be our starter. Shedeur should be the guy that starts game 1, week 1. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stfansky. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
And that's exactly how it came across. Kevin Stefansky's body language said plenty. He looked like a coach feeling the axe over his shoulder. TJ Houshmandzadeh added that this isn't the first time Shedeur Sanders has been treated this way. He pointed to the opening preseason game, where Shedeur was sharp, yet Stfansky offered no real praise. Now, after what unfolded yesterday, it looks like Stfansky is pushing the idea that Shedeur was at fault, almost as if he's trying to validate the staff's stance that they were right and Sanders was wrong. TJ even suggested it felt like the situation was engineered from the start to make Shedeur come up short.
Well, like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And
Right.
So to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
And Houshmandzadeh's red holds up. From the very first preseason outing, Kevin Stefansky's slant felt apparent. Even after Shedeur Sanders put together an impressive, mistake-free showing, Stefansky declined to highlight him, retreating to broad comments about developing all the quarterbacks and skimming past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't come across as genuine buy-in on Shedeur's future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight is squarely on Stfansky, who seemed intent on easing Shedeur towards the margins. Ironically, the coach looks more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin criticism, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll concentrate on developing Shedeur Sanders. An about-face that screams pressure from the fan base. And it isn't only fans. Reporters and analysts are pressing him as well. Emmanuel Acho weighed in, arguing that by placing Shedeur with an offensive group filled with players unlikely to make the 53, Stfansky engineered a no-win evaluation. Acho's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback with Tom Brady's resume would have struggled in that setup with that caliber of support. In those conditions, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the context, not the quarterback.
What a COVID year, so it gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen,
What the chat say? The chat. Well, who the chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I ain't even open my phone. Hold on. I'm curious to see what the chat would think. They are saying
Hushman Zeta's take still holds. From the first preseason snap, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt obvious. Even after Shedeur Sanders delivered a crisp, mistake-free showing, Stefansky sidestepped any real credit, defaulting to broad talk about developing all the quarterbacks and skating past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't read like genuine buy-in on Sanders' future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight has swung to Stfansky, who looked intent on easing Shedeur to the edges of the plan. Ironically, the coach seems more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin critiques, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll focus on developing Shedeur Sanders. A shift that screams fan pressure. And it isn't only the fan base. Reporters and analysts are pressing him too. Chad Okosinko weighed in, arguing that by sticking Shedeur with an offensive group filled with fringe or soon-to-be-waived players, Stfansky set up a no-win evaluation. Ochocinco's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback of Tom Brady's caliber would have struggled in that environment with that level of support. In those circumstances, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the setup, not the quarterback. Chad Ochocinco warned that the chorus of team-friendly critics would soon start branding Shedeur Sanders a bust, reducing him to fifth-string status, and the real problem would get ignored. Kevin Stefansky put Shedeur in a no-win setup. Despite growing backlash, Ochocinco argued this all looks like a coordinated effort to drag Shedeur down, with more energy spent tearing him apart than acknowledging why he struggled. He was right about the setup, but wrong about the Browns skating by. Fans are loudly calling for Stefansky's job over what they view as clear bias towards Shedeur Sanders, and that pressure is only intensifying. Skip Bayless also weighed in, blasting Cleveland's approach as the worst way to handle a young quarterback. He pointed to a recurring pattern. Shedeur has been consistently mishandled by Stfansky and by the organization, and that this isn't a one-off misstep. In Bayless's view, Sanders hasn't been given a fair runway or the right support, and the way the team has managed him has only piled on the pressure, making it even harder for him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefansky.
Given how this has played out with Shedeur Sanders, it's hard to escape the sense he was put behind the 8-ball from the start. When he made his first preseason start, Stephen A. Smith said the Browns were setting Shedeur up to fail, and recent events only strengthen that take. Between the lack of meaningful first-team reps and a string of puzzling play calls, the context never looked built for growth. At this point, the pattern makes his setbacks feel less like natural growing pains and more like the product of an environment that was never set up for him to succeed.
So he says, this is exactly what he says. I'm told the footage of Shedeur Sanders meeting with the Giants is so bad that both the Browns and the Sanders family have threatened legal action if it is.
What in the NFL is happening right now? The New York Giants just leaked a draft interview recording with Shedeur Sanders, and fans are completely freaking out. Did Shedeur take some shots? Did the Giants forget what the word confidential means? Or did someone accidentally hit reply all on something that was supposed to stay locked away? Get ready, because this roller coaster involves hot mics, bad takes, and a whole lot of drama.
What happened with Shedeur on draft night to make him fall to the 5th round, and them talking about the Giants coming out with all that information talking about Shedeur did bad, bombed the interview, all that type stuff. We all know my last video when I talked about the interview tape about Shedeur did not get a playbook.
The NY Giants, in true Stonewall fashion, dropped a carefully trimmed clip from their highly sought-after interview with Shedeur Sanders, then quickly locked everything else away like it was top-secret intel. Was this a calculated PR stunt or just a low-key attempt at sabotage? Either way, the silence speaks louder than any official statement. Fans aren't buying this half-baked version of transparency, and they're definitely not ready to just bench him and move on. Instead, they're demanding answers, calling out the organization for what feels like a planned smear job. One thing's for sure, the hate is loud, but Shedeur's supporters are even louder.
There was another team that he sat down with.
What do you mean it didn't go well after that?
So, he was pissed that they
did that to him.
They did that to him.
He counter-confronted
The
them.
same thing they do to every other quarterback prospect. They did that to him. They slide in a mistake to see if you catch it.
Right. And so
because you're the quarterback.
But he didn't take it as a correction. He took it as like he got
it's
pissed
just
off.
yeah, and it's like so here's another one. So another one was, he throws a bad interception, and it was a deep throw early in the game, and he comes back and they go in the meeting, they show the interception.
Let's just call it like it is. The Giants have perfected the tease. They've basically turned "we've got more, but we're not sharing it" into a comedy act, and the joke's on them. It's like they're standing center stage, booing themselves. Oh, you want more? Too bad. We're guarding it like Grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Congrats, Giants. You've officially become the talk of TikTok, X, and even Aunt Barbara's Facebook. Yep, the holy trinity of online outrage. This whole thing screams drama, screams petty, and definitely screams PR disaster in a fitted cap. Just release the full tape before fans start pulling up to headquarters with pitchforks. And popcorn.
GM is getting fired. The GM, who was that nigga that Jaden Daniels. The GM is on film that the nigga's son, the nigga asked his son last draft, yo, who you think I should pick? His son like, yo, you need to get the Jaden Daniels nigga, B. This is what his son, it's on tape. You should go Jaden Daniels. He laughing at his son. And all right, cool, get Jaden Daniels. I don't even know how that tape got out. I wouldn't have let the shit get out personally.
Meanwhile, Shedeur, the latest poster boy for maybe the Giants don't like talent unless it's dressed in blue and red confetti, is soaking it all in like it's just another day at practice. And here's the best part of the irony. The Giants tried to label him as all hype, no substance, a paper tiger. But instead, they accidentally turned him into the hottest name being mentioned by every sports analyst out there. They tried to bury the story, but somehow ended up stamping it in bold. It's the classic case of ignoring a trending conversation for so long that sure, people get annoyed, but at the same time, they keep your name alive better than your own PR team ever could.
It's funny. New York Giants, where these tapes at? You hear me? Because if Shedeur Sanders was so unprofessional, y'all would have leaked the tapes for the whole world could see, right? Because understand, it's a lot of he say, she say. But one thing I do know, as a young black man growing up in this world, being straightforward and not sugarcoat anything.
Oh, this narrative is pure gold. Giants PR completely skipped subtlety and went straight to the "we don't like his dad" playbook. A move so awkward, it's like trying to dunk and ending up in a kiddie pool. You can almost picture them brainstorming it. Yeah, we're just not fans of QB families that aren't ours. Because nothing screams professionalism quite like having zero self-awareness. And the fan reactions? Absolutely priceless. That one little clip was all it took to set the internet on fire. Keyboards everywhere started lighting up. People are asking, why hide the good stuff? What are you trying to cover up? If there's really nothing to hide, why not just drop the full thing? And spoiler alert, they weren't whispering. Social media exploded faster than a New York City grill on Memorial Day weekend.
Them out. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks. especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not in.
And that brings us to the next tasty slice of irony. By refusing to release the full interview, the New York Giants probably thought they were hurting Shedeur Sanders' image. But instead, they ended up throwing gasoline on the hype train. Rather than shutting things down, they made him look like the kid who grabbed the last cookie and somehow got blamed for taking the whole jar. Only difference? This kid's got cameras on him 24/7, and he's handling the heat like a seasoned pro. Now, every move he makes is being broken down, every throw studied like it's a presidential debate. Fans are calling it what it is. They've lied on Shedeur. Some say the Giants just don't like his dad. And honestly, that might be true. Maybe this whole thing was just a cheap shot at Deion Sanders by extension. But here's the plot twist. The harder they try to drag him down, the more interesting his story gets. The Giants accidentally turned Shedeur into a walking headline, a controversy in cleats. They tried planting doubt, but all they really did was create buzz. He's no longer just a top draft pick. He's now a symbol of resilience, a narrative goldmine, and living proof that real talent doesn't fold under pressure. It levels up. And at this point, even if the Giants wanted to, there's no turning off the spotlight.
Okay, so probably the most fun yet the most difficult thing I cover and we cover all year long is not games. It's the NFL draft. Because I've said this many times, you get lied to for a month to 2 months up to it. And so often during the draft, and every few drafts, there's a guy that really falls, precipitously falls. This year it was Shedeur Sanders, it's been Aaron Rodgers, it's been Dan Marino. Every few years somebody falls a lot. And so, but those stories don't come out until like the fall and after.
Let's not overlook the fact that the hate is so strong, you could bottle it up and sell it as radioactive cologne. You can practically watch it leaking out of Giants HQ like toxic sludge straight out of a bad superhero origin story. But here's the twist. Maybe that's their superpower. Maybe the New York Giants really believe they're cooking up some secret formula, a cocktail of manipulation and media spin. But here's the thing. Every bit of shade they throw at Shedeur Sanders only makes his story bigger. Every time they try to box him in as some overhyped diva or question his character, they accidentally hand him another viral moment. And now, he's the underdog hero rising through the smoke. Let's be real. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about narratives, control, and how the establishment absolutely loses it when they're no longer holding the pen. And the real kicker? They still won't release the full interview. You've got NFL fans, media heads, and entire Reddit threads all chanting, "Drop the tape." Like it's some long-lost Beatles album. Meanwhile, the Giants are just sitting there, staring into the void like nobody saw this mess coming.
Now, I don't know if it ever gonna get leaked or not. The tapes, the New York Giants have the tape. They definitely have the tape. It's confirmation that they have the tape. Shedeur didn't do nothing. It's what they saying he did. I'm gonna tell you what these mixed reaction right here. So we already know about the New York Giants, but the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin reported Miles Sanders' talent, but hesitated to draft him due to previous challenges with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, leading to more cautious approach. Las Vegas Raiders. Sanders met with Raiders at the NFL scouting combine and expressed enthusiasm about potentially joining the team. His familiarity with the West Coast offense and quick release was noted positive, though concerns about his ceiling.
Was out there, I talked to Denzel Ward.
Yep.
I talked to some, but I didn't say the name. But anyway, I done talked to some people. He looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me? Mm-hmm. Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media and all that hoopla and all them, on Twitter, they putting up the numbers. Some he was 10 for 12 for 2 touchdowns. I'm talking about when he's at the helm, he looks different. Whether he's going with the first team, second team, or third team. It don't matter.
From being buried on the depth chart as a fourth stringer to suddenly becoming a standout on the second team, Shedeur Sanders just pulled off the most impressive quarterback comeback since Tom Brady made the world believe he wasn't finished at 40.
What is it going to take for you to just buy in to Shedeur Sanders when players all around him are telling you how different he looks, how good he looks, how he just has that aura to him? Because it seems like all the players that are around Shedeur Sanders have nothing but great things to say about him and love him. Because again, he clearly just looks different than the rest of the competition that we've seen. And like I said, the last time I've seen guys go for or, say things about a certain player like that, it was Baker Mayfield. So could 12 be that guy? How long until we see 12? Because I feel like it's just a matter of...
The same haters who were cheering when he got dropped to 4th string are now scrambling for excuses faster than a glitchy Wi-Fi during the Super Bowl. Get ready, because this isn't just a step up on the depth chart. It's a serious reality check that's got the critics choking on their own words with a big helping of humble pie.
Being said, I see some balls coming out of Shedeur Sanders at that game, and I'm like, kind of looks like a guy.
Yeah, I'm reading.
He can sling it.
I see him, some of the veterans, how they talk to him, mic'd up, see what he's doing in the community.
Yep. You talking about Njoku there?
Njoku, Mike Napier. Once you see, different little interactions and things like that, I know he has the talent. We'll see. It'll be a competition that usually brings the best out of guys, especially young guys. So I'm interested to see how that quarterback situation.
I've heard he's been outstanding.
The Cleveland Browns training camp just turned into the most talked about event in town. All thanks to Shedeur Sanders, who took his spot as 4th string and used it as motivation for one of the most impressive rises the NFL has seen in years. While everyone was busy counting him out and calling his career dead, Sanders was quietly putting together a performance so good that coaches are saying they haven't witnessed anything like it in the last 15 years.
Drafted in the 5th round, all that means nothing when it's time to play football and that whistle blows. He looks different than the rest of the competition. That's what I heard. And I'm talking from a, not Brother Ward, I'm just talking about from sources that's in that room, that's on that field, that's playing the sport. Man, come on, man.
Yep, coaches with decades of experience are honestly scratching their heads, trying to figure out how someone goes from being a practice squad afterthought to seriously competing for a starting spot in just a few weeks.
Thing is, they never planned on taking him. The problem is, like Ocho Cinco said, you got somebody that has endeared himself to the locker room. And guess what? The difference between him and Tim Tebow, the biggest one, is he can play. He can throw the ball. Tim Tebow running around being an H-back, he can throw the ball. And he's done everything he needs to do. He ain't saying nothing. He ain't rocking the boat. He ain't mad about the reps. He ain't mad about none of that. All the people out there want to see is this, like Tyler said earlier. We want to see what he can do with Jerry Jeudy.
That's it.
I want to see what he can do with David Njoku. I want to see him with Junkins. I want to see him with the first running backs. If you are cooking, if you are beating down the doors with the 3s and 4s, guess what? You deserve more. That was a bar. It rhymed. It was.
Remember when Mary Kay Cabot dropped that bombshell report saying Shedeur Sanders was the 4th string quarterback? The internet blew up faster than a Michael Bay explosion. Critics came out of nowhere, like ants at a picnic, rushing to call his NFL dreams dead on arrival. They claimed he was only shining against guys who'd either end up on practice squads or be out of the league by September. They pointed out he wasn't getting reps in 11-on-11 drills and said he needed to earn his way up the depth chart.
Dude, listen, the guy, all I can say is that he goes where the ball's supposed to go and it looks the way it's supposed to look. Mm-hmm. And when I hear that tells me it sounds like the Browns may have got a steal with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, because I think he'll have a chance. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback in September, like week 1 or 2 or whatever it may be early in the year, but I think he's got a chance to develop into something that hopefully would preclude them from having to draft a quarterback first overall or top 5 next year.
Being said, I see some balls coming out of Shedeur Sanders at that game, and I'm like, kind of looks like a guy.
Yeah, I'm reading.
He can sling it.
I see him, some of the veterans, how they talk to him, mic'd up, see what he's doing in the community.
Yep. You talking about Njoku there?
Njoku, Mike Napier. Once you see, different little interactions and things like that, I know he has the talent. We'll see. It'll be a competition that usually brings the best out of guys, especially young guys. So I'm interested to see how that quarterback situation.
I've heard he's been outstanding.
Funny how the tables have turned. Those same critics are now watching Sanders climb the depth chart like he's scaling Mount Everest with rocket boosters. The guy they wrote off is now the one they can't stop paying attention to. Every completion sends a message. Every perfect throw is a reminder that real talent doesn't stay hidden forever. And with every practice, he's showing that maybe, just maybe, the Browns stumbled upon their hidden gem.
One thing for the fans to sit here and hype up Shedeur Sanders because we all know how we get about certain players that we like. But it's another thing when you hear it from players who are actually on the field, who are actually in the locker room, who are actually next to this guy every single day. Because I'm sure we've all seen the quote by now by Chad Johnson when they were on the nightcap, and he talked to some young bulls. He talked to Denzel Ward. He didn't want to give away his name, but he already did it. And he said that Denzel Ward says he looks different from the rest of the competition. We've already been seeing.
When word got out that Shedeur Sanders officially moved up to second-team reps, passing Dylan Gabriel along the way, the shockwaves hit from Cleveland all the way to Canton. This wasn't just some small roster tweak, this was huge. One day he's throwing passes to practice squad guys, and the next he's running with the second team, putting real pressure on the starting quarterback spot. The promotion came after Sanders completely dominated minicamp, showing toughness, leadership, and total control on the field. His passes were right on target, hitting receivers in stride. His decision-making was sharp as a blade, and his grasp of the playbook had coaches nodding like proud parents at a school play. But this wasn't beginner's luck. It was steady, calculated execution that the coaching staff just couldn't ignore.
And I don't know, there was never no one thought he was this like malcontent or like a bag. It wasn't.
That was the word,
That was kind of what was being said. That was kind of what was being said.
No. The pre-draft process was so unorthodox that he didn't go through it all like everyone else did. And I think there's a lot that we can look back on this thing, especially if he becomes a star in this league and say, you could point fingers in a million ways. Not having a pure agent, not having the workouts that everyone else did, going to these teams, not necessarily being as willing to throw the ball when asked at these the All-Star games, like that kind of stuff I think might have stung him, it might have turned teams off, but I know.
When Stephen A. Smith starts singing your praises, that's when you know you've officially arrived. The ESPN personality, famous for his fiery takes and no-nonsense analysis, didn't just mention Sanders. He gave him the full Stephen A. treatment. He praised Sanders not only for his top-tier football skills, but also for the intangibles that separate the good from the great. This kid's mindset puts him ahead of the pack, Stephen said, with the confidence of someone who's seen enough football to spot greatness from a mile away. He pointed out Sanders' composure, mental toughness, and relentless drive to compete at the highest level. When Stephen A. says, "It's not just about throws and stats anymore," you better believe the whole football world is paying attention.
All this stuff wasn't made up. I covered the draft for ESPN. I'm sitting on the desk. It's Shefty, it's Mel, it's me, it's Lewis. I heard some of the same things that Deion Sanders is talking about. And S.A. and Kenton, you know this, we all have relationships. We all have people who tell us information, they help us prepare to do our job. I heard some of the same things. Some of these things weren't necessarily made up, at least I don't think, from the people that I trust who told me these things. And so